Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaded Path. Today we're going to pick up a project that I did back in 2012, the Carolina in the Morning bracelet. This is a project that I've never done a video on before, and I had just written a pattern. A lot of people had requested that I do a video on it, so that's what we're going to do today. Now, when I originally designed this bracelet, I designed it using my Yuki seed beads. When I picked it up to redo and kind of update the pattern a little bit, I used Toho seed beads. And there are a few differences in using the Mayukis and the Toho, so I had to alter the pattern just a little bit. So as we go through this project, I'll actually tell you, everything that I will tell you is by using Mayukis, and if I come to a point where it's going to be different, whether the seed bead brand that you use, I'll tell you, hey, if you're using a Toho brand seed bead, you'll need to do this in the project. And I've also corrected that in the pattern now. So in the pattern, you have the original pattern that I originally came out with in 2012, and then you have some updated pictures with the updated steps as if you are using Toho seed beads. So I hope that you guys who have done the project will be able to find some new little tidbits and information when you're working with this. So for the project, you're going to need about 49 6mm beads. In one of the new updated versions, I've done about 5 colors of some pearls with a black background, and I am loving this piece. And the one I'm actually going to do for you today is something new that I've not tried with the Carolina in the Morning. I'm actually going to be using some 6mm Bicone beads and some 6mm round pearl beads. So about 49 total of those. You're going to need 32 4mm 32 or 34 4mm bicones, about 52 3mm bicones, 2 wire protectors, a clasp, 2 size 10 needles, and then you're going to need about 5.5 yards of either a fire line, a 1G, a Sono thread, something to that nature. You're also going to need about 10 grams of a size 11 seed bead and 1 gram of a size 15 seed bead. So let's go ahead and get this video started. The first thing you'll want to do is thread a needle onto each end of about 1.5 yards of thread. And using your size 11 seed beads and 1 needle, doesn't matter if you do it right or left, you're going to pick up 7 11s. Then 1 6mm round, and you're going to cross opposite ways through this one bead. So I have it on the right hand needle. I'm going to slide that off just a little bit, and then I'm going to take the left hand needle and go through the bead in the opposite direction so that I will have 2 threads, one on each side. Put my needles together, and I'm going to pull this bead, and this is going to be able to get my bead centered exactly where I need it to be. Now this is the only bead that you have to do that to. All the rest you can just pull your threads. Now it's going to be 3 11s on each needle. I'm going to let those fall. And then I'm going to pick up 1 11. And I'm going to cross my needles opposite ways through that one bead. So that when you get it, this is what it will look like. Now 3 11s on each needle. And then I'm going to cross through another 6mm round, or 6mm. For this one, I'm going to do my bicone. I'm going to do an alternating pattern of a round and a bicone on mine. You can do as many or as few beads as you want in this. Like I said, this is the first time I've made a small sample to make sure it was going to work out, but it's the first time I've mixed the shapes, but you can definitely do that. So I've got 3 11s on each needle. I'm going to pick up 1 11 and cross opposite ways through it. 3 11s on each needle. This time I'm going to pick up a round bead. I'm going to cross opposite ways. Three 11s on each needle. I'm going to pick up 1 11 and cross opposite ways through that bead. And I'm just going to continue my pattern until I have enough beads to make up my length. Now on my original sample here with my multicolors, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've done 16 beads on this outer edge. So you'll want to do 16 beads. This is going to make a 7 to a 7 1/4 inch bracelet depending upon your clasp that you have. So that's how many I'm going to continue to do for my strip. Once you have your strip of 16 beads, you'll finish just like we would have went to add another bead. You've got your 3 on each side, and then you cross through 1 11. Now, we're going to completely tie this piece off. So I'm going to stitch through the 3 11s that are on the side, through the 6 millimeter, and then the 3 11s that are on this other side, so that both of my threads will be exiting out next to each other. And then I'm just going to tie these together. And then once I get those tied off, put a couple of knots in there, then I'll take my needles and I will stitch through some beads on each side and then trim this thread off. Now, once you get this part done, then you're going to do a second strip that's going to be almost identical to what you've got already. Now, the only difference when you make the second strip is I started this first strip here with a pearl. The second strip, I will start with whatever my second bead would have been. So if I have, say I have 5 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say if I had red, pink, blue, green, yellow. I started out with red here, and then pink was the next one. So on my next strip, I would start out with pink. So I would have pink, blue, green, yellow, red, basically. And this is what's going to help our colors go at a diagonal. So if I'm just using the 2 colors like I have here, then on the second strip, I'll start out with my copper bicone. If you're doing one solid color, you won't have to worry about starting with another bead. You'll start with the, same bead you've been using. So go ahead and completely make a second strip and cut that one off. Tie and cut it off. So once you have both strips completed, you'll want to lay them side by side just like I have here. I've got a needle threaded onto each end of 2 yards of my fire line. If you'll look at your strip, you have a bead before, a size 11 seed bead before it goes into the hole of your big bead, and then you have one after. You have that on each side. You have one here and here and here and here. These are the only beads that we're going to be worried about on our strips that we're working on. So like right here, you just kind of have to pull it so you can see it here, but I've got a bead here and a bead here, and then a bead here and a bead here. So these are going to be the beads that you're going to be worried about as you work in the piece. Now, normally what I would do is I would tell you to thread on a wire protector, and that's what I do in the pattern. But I want to use this like antique gold color or antique brass color for my piece, and I don't actually have any wire protectors in that color. So I'm going to be using just a jump ring, a twisted jump ring, which is, some people love them, some people hate them. So you can do what you want to. This is just my suggestion. I'm going to be using the twisted jump ring because I've not really had any problems out of them. but you can use a wire protector or whatever you want to use. This is just what I'm using. But I've got that onto my bead here. So I'm going to thread that on. And then I'm going to take a size 11 seed bead. Pour out a little bit of these guys here. I'm going to pick up 111 on one needle. And I'm going to slide it down off my needle just a little bit. And then I'm going to take the other needle and I'm going to go through that bead in the same direction, not opposites, in the same. And I'm going to pull that bead all the way down to the center of my thread so that it comes all the way down to my clasp. Once you get that bead pulled all the way to the center, this is what it'll look like. You'll now pick up 111 on each needle and then take 111 and cross opposite ways through that one bead and pull it down. So it's going to make a little box almost like this. And now we're ready to start adding the beads to the center of the strand. So what I'm going to do is with each needle I'm going to pick up 3 11s. And I'm going to start my strand with the first bead that's on this right hand strip. So I'm going to be picking up my 6mm bicone and I'm going to cross opposite ways through it so that it makes my little section here. Now I'm not going to add any beads at this point. I'm going to take my needle, if I can get, I'm going to take the one on this right side here, get it, and I'm going to pull your beads here, get them out of place. Alright, I'm going to go through this first bead right here. Let me get it. It's on that left hand side and it's going to be just that first bead right before the opening there at the crystal. So I'm going to take and I'm going to pull that on through and lay that down. Then I'm going to take the left hand needle. I'm going to go through the first seed bead here right before the space, the open space. I'm going to go through that one and I'm going to pull that thread. So when you pull it, that's going to bring these together. Now it's not going to stay together good until we do the next couple of steps. So now I'm going to pick up a seed bead on each needle. Then I'm going to pick up a 3mm bicone on one needle. And I'm going to cross my needles opposite ways through that one bead. And that's what's going to help to pull this together here in the center. Now I'm going to pick up 111 onto each needle. And this time I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit here so you can see it a little better. Here we go. I'm going to take the right hand needle, pull this back a little bit so that you can see. I'm going to take this right hand needle and I'm going to go through the seed bead right after the space here on my crystal. So I'm going to go through this bead right here, and then with the other needle I'm going to go through the seed bead right after the space at my pearl. Like that. So when I pull each of these needles, I'm going to put my finger on that here and pull. When I pull those, it makes a little X shape right there. Now I'm going to pick up the next bead, and my next bead, I'm working in my diagonals here, is going to be a pearl. So I'm going to pick up a 6mm pearl, and I'm going to cross my needles opposite ways through this one bead. And when you pull it, it's going to go right into that space. with the right hand needle, I'm going to go through the seed bead right before the space here at my pearl. You can go ahead and pull that on through. And then on this left hand side, I'm going to go through the little seed bead right before the space here at my crystal. And I'm going to pull that. And you will see a little bit of thread on each side, but that's completely fine because we're going to cover that up. That's something that you won't see when you finish. Okay, so now each needle is going to get a size 11 seed bead. I'm going to pick up one 3mm bicone, and I'm going to cross my needles opposite ways through that one bead. So that once I go through and I pull, it's going to pull it right out of the screen for you. But once I pull, that starts my little bit of an X shape here. And then with each needle, I'm going to pick up one size 11 seed bead. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the space here right after the pearl and then right after the crystal. And this will make my little X shape that I need. And I'm going to continue down this whole piece. The first time is going to be putting in my little X shape like I'm doing right here, and then I'll be putting a bead in. I'm going to do this all the way down the piece so that it will connect those two strips
Once
together.
you've got the whole center of your piece connected,
You're now ready to finish off this end. So once I've done my last little X shape here, I'm going to add one more bead. This is going to be a bicone. I'm going to cross opposite ways through that one bead. Go ahead and pull that down. Now, I want 3 11s on each needle. And then I'm going to pick up 1 11, and I'm going to cross my needles opposite ways through that one bead, so that it will close up over that bicone. Now at this point, I'm only going to use one needle, so I'm just going to hold on tightly to one. I'm going to use the other one here. I'm going to pick up 2 beads, and if you're using a wire protector, you're going to pick up your wire protector at this point. If not, and you're just doing like I'm doing here, I'm just going to pick up my jump ring, and I'm going to go right back down through that second seed bead that I added just a second ago and pull that through. Now I'm going to pick up 1 11, and with this same needle I'm going to go back through that 11 on the base that I was coming out of just a minute ago that I crossed through. So I'm going to go through it in that direction so that it makes that little box shape here just like I have on the other side. Now I'm going to set this needle down and I'm going to reinforce with this other needle by going back through, and then I'm going to tie this thread off.
for those of you who hate 2 needle projects,
This is going to make you really happy because we're going to drop down to 1 needle. Once I got this completely finished off, I then added some new thread, and I'm coming out of the seed bead. It's the 3rd seed bead here on this right side. It's the one right before my big space here. I'm going to pick up one size 11 seed bead, and your space here on the outside, I'm going to count back 5 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is my 5th bead right here. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come through those 5 beads going towards the right. Now you won't be able to do this all at one time. You might only be able to get through 1 or 2 beads at a time here, but basically what that 11-0 is going to do is that 11-0 is going to fill in that little hole that you've got right there. So this is where your changes are going to come into play. If you're using my Yuki seed beads, at this point, you would be picking up 2 11s and going through the next 11-0 after your space. But I'm using Toho, so here's how you can change it up if you're using Toho. When you get to your spaces here that are at each of your beads, you'll want to pick up 115.0. Okay, so if you're using Miyuki's, you're going to do 2 11s. If you're using Toho's, you're going to pick up 115, and you're just going through the 111 right after your space right here. So that fills in that little hole. Now, for those of you who are using Miyuki seed beads, you're going to pick up 1 4mm, and you're going to go through the 11.0 right before the space at the next bead. If you're using Toho's like I'm going to use, I'm going to pick up 115, 1 4mm, and 115. So again, if you're using Miyuki seed beads, you're going to do 2 11s. I'm sorry, just a 4mm. If you're using Toho's, you're going to be using a 15, a 4mm, and a 15. And then you are going to go through the 11.0 right before your space at the next bead on this right hand side. And that'll pop right into place. So I'm at this space again. So if I'm using Miyuki seed beads, you'll put in 2 11s here in this space. If you're using the Toho's like I'm using, I'm going to pick up 115, and I'm going to go through the 11.0 right after that space. Now for Miyuki users, you're going to pick up 1 4mm, and you're going to go through the 11.0 right before the next space at your next bead. If you're a Toho user like I'm using, it's going to be a 15, a 4mm, and a 15, and you're going to go through the 11.0 right before that next space. So you're going to work your way down this right hand side, putting in the beads where they need to be put in. Alright, so I've gone down the whole side of my piece, adding the Bicones, and on this last bead, I've gone ahead and I've went through 5 of these 11.0s here on the end. I'm going to pick up 1 11.0, and I'm basically going to come up through these 7 beads here to get to the other side. Now, if you want to go up through these 11.0s here at your toggle and reinforce that toggle again, that is definitely something you can do. It's not required, but you can do that. And a lot of people like to do it just to feel that safety of having reinforced it again. Now, I'm coming out on this other side, so I'm going to pick up 1 11.0. I'm going to start right here at the little opening of my bead, and I'm going to count back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to take my needle, and I'm going to go through those 5 beads working towards the left, because I'm working on this left-hand side now. And again, you may not be able to go through them all at one time. You may have to go through a few at a time, but just watch your clasp. Don't get it caught in there. But now you can see how that completely closes that bead up. So you're going to work down this side doing exactly what you did on the first side. So you're going to be plugging in your beads and your Bicones all the way down on this side. So I finished this side, and I went through 5 of my 11s. And as you can guess it, I added that last 11 here so that it would finish out the ends. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to stitch through to add the embellishments here on these center beads. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to stitch through these outer beads to come out of the 11.0 right there in the middle of your little X shape. Now if you're left-handed and you're doing this on the opposite side, or somehow you've got flipped around, you can come out of this bead too. Either way, your string will just need to be coming out towards the bead in the middle. Now this is going to be the part that our last little thing before you finish up. So whether you're using Miyuki or Toho's, either one, you're going to be picking up a 15 and a 3mm. And then you will go through your center bead and pull that, and that will pop your bead into place. Then you'll pick up, just flip it, and you'll do a 3mm and a 15. And then you'll go through the middle 15 here
on the other side. And you'll pull it so that it pops into place also. Now we're going to stitch through these outer beads right through here to come out of this 11-0. It's going to be the next one there in the center. So this is the kind of cool, easy part, because it's very easy to get through the beads that you're going through. And this kind of helps reinforce it too, so that's a really good thing. So now I'm coming out of that 11-0, so I'm going to pick up a 15 and a 3mm. And I'll go through the center bead here, which is going to be my bicone in this case. And then I'll pick up a 3mm and a 15. And then I will go through the 11-0 here on this other side. It's the middle 11-0 that makes that little X shape. And that will pop those into place. And I'll continue working all the way to the end to add my 3mm embellishments down the center on each side of those center 6mm. So here are my completed bracelets. As you can see, I have done one with the bicones and the pearls, so now I know that works, and I really, really like how that looks. And then I have one here with the multicolored pearls that can be really worn with a lot of things. So we do have these 2 color kits available on our website, which is offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, and we have the revised pattern now that tells you the differences in using the 2 different brands of seed beads. So thank you guys for watching, and be sure and come back next time.